Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through you to the members, I rise to speak in unequivocal support of H 4241 and act to prevent abuse and exploitation. First, I want to thank Mr. Speaker, as well as the gentleman from the North End and the gentleman from Stoneham and your teams for all your hard work on this bill. I also want to thank the gentlelady from Leominster, the gentleman from Franklin, as well as our colleagues who've worked so hard to continue to fight fiercely on behalf of all survivors. Additionally, I want to thank all the advocates and the coalitions who have worked tirelessly in moving parts of this bill forward, particularly the Track Coalition and the Together Rising Above Coercion and Jane Doe, Inc. Most of all, I want to thank the survivors. You heard from the gentleman from Stoneham of all the different stories that we've heard at briefings, hearings, and throughout the community. These stories are so important in raising awareness for the need for this legislation, and to let those who are currently suffering know that they are not alone and that we will do something about this. And this bill is very personal to me. As many of you know, I was a legal services attorney prior to getting elected, and I have worked with countless survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and harassment. And to this day, I continue to work side by side with them to empower people who have endured domestic violence and abuse to take back control of their lives. We all deserve the right to exercise control over our lives, our bodies, and our decisions. However, all too often, those in trusted positions take advantage of that trust and use it to seize control. They might share or threaten to share nude or private images and content that their partners entrusted them with, or they take away their control over who sees intimate parts of their bodies and manipulate their choices. No one should be able to get away with that sort of abuse of power. And I'm proud to stand here in support of a bill that would criminalize such vindictive and toxic behaviors. I particularly want to highlight the coercive control part of this bill that incorporates legislation that I filed with the gentle lady from Leominster. As I said, I've worked with many clients who were unable to escape controlling partners because the courts did not recognize that such insidious forms of abuses that they were experiencing, what we call coercive control, is a type of abuse. And so what is this? It's a type of abuse where abusers make their partners feel completely powerless and dependent on them for essential aspects of their lives, including money, immigration status, or even housing. And as a result, survivors of this form of abuse begin to believe that it's impossible to leave their abusers because they can't take care of themselves or their children. And perhaps their partner may even open up a credit card or take out a loan in their name or abandon them with debilitating debt. Or perhaps their partners use their immigration status or their children as pawns or weapons to keep them under control. And of course, in this digital age, technology can be used as a means of control as well, equipping abusers with the ability to track and monitor their partner's every move. So I want to give a real-life example of this so that we can kind of see how it plays out. I had a client with 2 children with an abuser who refused to marry her, and they were together for 20 years. And they even bought a house together. But she, quote unquote, decided to only put the house in his name. And he told her all these lies, adding that she would increase rate interest and other complications. So they had the house in his name. Fast forward 2 decades later, he's with another person, and he wanted to kick her out with her 2 children, claiming she has no stake in that house. That is the type of coercion that we're talking about. All those years that she was there contributing to the house, completely gone. But we were so lucky that we were in front of a judge who recognized the coercion, that she didn't decide to put the house in his name, that she was coerced into it, and we were able to get her a claim to this home. But these sort of things should not be dependent on luck. Judges and the courts need to recognize this across the board to make sure that people do not feel like they don't have any say in how their lives play out. I've always been so impressed with clients who eventually found their way to me to get representation. These are the ones who were able to get away, and they needed the support to ensure their independence. And so survivors and the courts now need our help to update our laws to make it clear that this sort of domestic violence would not be tolerated here in the Commonwealth. We have an opportunity here to close the books on this unacceptable behavior and to ensure that the courts recognize these manipulative behaviors as abuse and to allow for protections that victims and survivors deserve. Survivors whose partners exercise this type of abuse over them are 5 times more likely to be murdered. And almost all domestic homicide victims experience coercion or controlling behaviors in some way, shape, or form throughout their relationships. And these are not just hypothetical situations. They're happening everywhere throughout the Commonwealth, in every single one of your districts. These are the victims who need our help the most, and by expanding the definition today to encompass coercive control and technological abuse, we give the courts the ability to protect them and to give survivors the ability to take back their lives. So in closing, I thank you so much for you being here, and I urge you to please, please, please vote in support of this very necessary bill, and I look forward to voting yes on this. Thank you.